born in Montreal, Canada. I've been dancing since my mom's belly. So when I started dancing, yeah, as far as bouncing in there. My parents love dancing, so what's really important to me is the dance, and it's my parents helped me, and like I grew up in a musical environment. My parents already had records, music, so I was already listening to like song, like gospel, funk, soul, R&B, jazz, like disco, all of it. Like our record collection was crazy. So a bit like when you get the money, this is what you did when you went to get a record. So watching Soul Train, growing up, I never really understood what I was seeing because I didn't speak English, right? I'm from Montreal, the French speaking, so we don't understand what they're calling, like it's like locking, Campbell locking, or pocket. We don't understand these terms. We just emulate, kind of copy when we see what looks like us on TV. Especially where I live, there's not many black people. So, I was watching Don, but I didn't know he was Don. I didn't know this man had created the dance, but we just get imprints. So before I even go there, I really want to push you to go to campbellock.dance, his official website, and really read the story that is from him, like with his quotes. Because if you don't go to the source to understand how Campbell locking was created, it's very hard you get kind of further and further away from it because you imitate so many people, but you don't know the source and how it was started. And sometimes it's very simple. So, and also, like, I'm always dancing.
Hey.
I'm keeping my Twitter for now because I don't want to catch a cold, but it's gonna come off, So this one was given to me by Don, himself, right, at the time before he passed. And what's important is this quote in the back, you read it, right? Mm-hmm. Can you read it?
Yes.
Can't nobody beat you at being you.
See, this is the philosophy of Don, right? But before we got that, we got a lot of other things as growing up in the dance. But for me, the website, tells a story, and then it's up to you to find the information. Like, I really don't like. For me, the knowledge is free. I'm here to share, but it's not about me. It's about what Don created. And so I want to take you on a journey to understand what I finally understood way too late, right? When I was 50, like that, the first time I started understand was in my late 40s, and I started Campbell locking in 84. So it's like 40 years later, I have an epiphany. It's like, oh, that's what Don wanted. But I know what he wanted, but we didn't have the awareness. So to take you back, as I'm in this dance, I'm learning from Don. He was one of the first ones, for sure. He was the first one to teach me. I'm glad I got him first, because a lot of us, and then I went through the other teachers. So I learned from all the teachers. But Don was telling us things like, when you talk about, let's say God, it's like, you can't ask God how he created. Like, you can't, like, the person that creates it doesn't know. Like, it's just creative. It's in the moment. So we were asking Don a lot of questions, like, how did you do this? How did you create this? How did you create the Scooby-Doo? Or can you teach me the Scooby-Doo? We're just asking him not how did you create, but can you teach me? That's what we're asking. And he's like, the Scooby-Doo? Like, that's not locking. And that was the answer that we would get. And we're just like already learning all these things from TV, from videos. We're learning so many things. And we didn't understand that he wasn't saying it's like, that's not locking, like I'm against, like that's how we heard it, I'm against it. It was, that's not locking, that's not what I created. Because I created locking. That is Scooby-Doo step. You have to learn it from Scooby-Doo, right? So, but we didn't have that understanding yet. We're just thinking, oh, there's beef, It wasn't. It really wasn't. He was just really honest and, oh, knee, we're like, teach me a knee drop. And be like, knee drop is, yeah, but that's not locking. And we're like, but you do it. And he's like, I didn't create it, right? So at the time we're using the term locking because that, that's what got famous. The name was removed, Campbell locking, because of the record knows this, right? Everybody knows this here?
What's the story?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just asking, because most countries I tell the whole story because they don't know it. Here in the Bay, you have good teachers, you know, but I will tell the story. So Don, you know, I'm starting from the beginning, and this is when I need my peoples. You know, and he's filming, so, but you come. So, let's say, so Don, you know, is going to school, right? You have to understand. And I will have to go here and then go back. So really look at the timeline. And he's drawing people, you know, so he's, yeah. So he's drawing dancers, because he went to Trade Tech, right, in Los Angeles. Trade Tech in the 69, this is 69, right? He's going to he's into commercial art. He draws really beautiful. We still have designs on the website of his drawings, you know? So he's drawn dancers, you know, his friends, and then all of a sudden, you know, like, he gets interested in the dance. And I'm like making shortcuts now. I'm like, yeah. And the thing is, he wants to learn what they're doing. At the time, everybody's doing social dance in the clubs. Everybody's doing two-step. Everybody is doing, you know, like the popular dances, you know. They're doing, you know, they're dancing like this. Now, Don always said to us, I didn't know how to dance. I had 2 left feet. I wasn't a dancer, right? So when he's trying to finally, like after he's like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it in the cafeteria with all my friends. He's trying to learn one of the names of the step that he was doing. And do you know what it is? I know somebody knows it. What was it? What was he trying to do? That social dance. What was the
Funky robot or robot shuffle?
The robot shuffle.
The robot shuffle. So the robot shuffle, right, looks like this. Right? The people in the club, so a girl might go like this, you know, you're doing a robot shuffle. It's different for different people. But because Don is trying to imitate it and emulate, because he wants to learn how to dance, so he's trying to emulate it. So what starts happening? You know, he goes, because he can't dance, right? So he starts locking his joints. So his friends that are here keep going, keep locking, do that lock, Don, do that lock, or, you know, like. And I heard somebody actually a different documentary says the guy says do that camel lock, you know. So he's locking his joint and he's stopping. So what happens? So you can imagine if you go back, like let's say, I'm in the club, there's 50 dancers doing this in the club or more, you know. Everybody's dancing like this. And then Don is like, let me go to the club and practice my thing. Or even in the cafeteria, like anywhere. So he's like, imagine if this happening and everybody's like, because nobody dances like that. He's like the odd guy out. So people start, you know, so like you're going back. So now he's doing this, but he only has maybe 2 or 3 things that he knows how to do. And every time he runs out of things to do, he stops. And he's thinking, what else can I do? Right? Because Don told me that. He's like, but he's stopping on the music. But every time he stops, what happens? Because people are looking at him. So they're like, yeah. They're like, and then what did you just do? Why? Because they think it's done. They're clapping because they think he's finished. As an audience, you're like, oh, good, because he stopped. That's the showmanship. Like people, the audience is thinking the thing is done, so they clap. But he's like, oh, they like it. I'm gonna do it again, right? So he starts again, same 4, you know, things, right? So and every time they start laughing at him, because you know, even as his friends were clowning him a little bit, they were like, ha ha ha, like, you know, yeah, you got it, yeah, you got off the ha pointing at him, and he's like, and so now he's like, he sees you smile from the side of the, like, you know, dance over there. But then I'm like, I'm like, and then the girl's like, and what does he do back? She's pointing at him. So that he's like, I see you, I see you. You know, I see you looking at me. So he points for a reason, with intention. He doesn't point like this, what you see today. He's like, I saw you looking at me. And then he keeps going, right? So that is very important to understand, because we, as dancers, we learn a lot of techniques that were not done. This is choreo. Done, if you look, and that's what I'm gonna really help you to understand. It's like, I want you to go back and look at Dawn with fresh eyes of this story that I'm telling you, and look at how many times Dawn is gonna point. And next time you see all of this footage. And he doesn't point all the time. He points. It doesn't do this. He doesn't ever. He points like this. Very simple. It's very intentional, and it's not in these things came from other dancers trying to break down the history and trying to break down the way Don did. Because nobody, if Don can't explain it to the people he's sharing it with, how are they gonna explain it to their students? So they're having their own approach on what it is that you have to do to look like a Campbell Locker, you know? So it's really important to understand that Don was just the embodiment, but he can't teach it because he's just it. He is the embodiment. So people have to look from the side and try to copy him because they think, like, man, this is cool, right? But at first, they were laughing at, some of them were laughing at him, but the odd man, everybody wants to get a piece of that, whatever he's doing, because now it's this new thing that they see in the club. They're just inspired. Now, for people like Scooby-Doo that came and wants to dance like him, Don is just in his body, you know, but Scooby, you know, also who can't dance, wants to add things to it eventually, because it's like, okay, like, I know this, I know this, I know this. So that's the rest of the story. But the thing that we all missed, right, is the most important thing that was my discovery in, well, it's not a discovery for me, it's like, is when I was last year, I was teaching my students, and my students kept asking questions. And when we were learning from certain teacher, they were always telling us to come through the middle. You know, if you've taken class from a lot of teachers, it's like, come from your shoulder, come from here. So it became very technical, you know, the way we pointed, the way we did things. But the students, it was a kid, he's like, but why do I have to go through the middle? You know, and I was like, you know, kids. And I was like, well, because it's your connection. This is how you connect things, you know, like this is, you have to, it's like when you kick a ball, you gotta recoil before you kick, you know, before you point, you don't, you know, you just, this is natural. But then I went back, watched Dawn, and then I kept remembering that story. So what's the story that he used to tell us? Every camp, you know, when he's sitting on the chair, what's the first thing he told us?
When he's sitting on a chair.
When he's sitting on a chair, he's telling the story of his childhood. What is the first thing he told us? The story. And you all took class with Don at LBSC. Try to remember. Well, you know it already, but I'm like putting a twist into it.
Okay.
When he's sitting in his chair, telling the story at the locking camp, at the, you know, the Las Vegas locking camp, he's like always telling the same story every year.
Yeah.
About what he was doing before he was a dancer, growing up at home. Let me get a chair. For you. Wait. Oh, there's a chair right there. Oh, can you give me a chair? Okay. So, and this is when, thanks to this student, I went back and I saw a lot of really amazing people that I looked up to, and I was like, those who were doing it. Right, sit.
Oh, okay.
So tell the story. Tell the story. Tell the story. Well, if you can. So let's say you're done. Tell the story.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'll tell the story. You do the button and button. So Don is like, feet. But the thing is, when I was growing up, I really loved to do this one thing, you know, and because, you know, I come from St. Louis, and my grandparents are from Alabama, you know, and I love the ham bone. I always did the ham bone. And then he would start a demonstration of ham bone. And because we're like, what's ham bone? And then he's like, and he'd start showing us, because he did that way before he was ever, you know, doing the camera walk. So, do the ham bone. What did he just do? Huh? This one is like this.
Yeah, I can't.
Right? I can do that. So people think that every time Don did this, he was blowing kisses. He wasn't blowing kisses. He was hand boning.
Wow.
Every time Don was going, he was hand boning, right? Every time you see this, he was hand boning. Every time, like Shab was doing this, teaching us how to like come it toward. That's a hand bone. Every time Greg went like this, that's the hand bone.
Oh.
That's the sound that's coming through. So you gotta think that Dawn was the embodiment of you, like that's the connection. So nobody was seeing it because we're all trying to learn move 1, move 2, move 3, move 4, move 5, move 6, move, like, you know, move. But the glue is in the hand bone. Right? So when, yes, it's wild, right? It's wild. So then I went back and I was like, holy crap. Right? I went, now I understand why everybody was like, Greg was teaching.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Told us. Like, you know, they're in their bodies, and that's why people, the power of the original generation is in their bodies, so you can hear the sound, and they're like, you can hear it. The clothes, because they're so close to their clothes, right? So they're not like just pointing in midair, like trying to find shape. They're in this thing, and so Don was naturally gifted with this thing in his body. So and he would jump, like he would do, you know, all of these things, and the wrist, the loose wrist. Why do you think all people were slapping my hands? Keep your list, or you rude, like Shabu was slapping my hands. It's like, because I was doing this, and he was like, and I thought, Shab's crazy that he's slapping my wrist. But he was trying to teach me something Don could not explain, but he embodied, and Scooby also does the wrist, you know, and the looseness of the wrist. So I'm gonna go back now. So I'm with Don, I'm on tour with Don, I'm teaching with Don because Don, like at the end, cannot dance as much, so, but I'm just assisting Don. So I'm like sitting, Don is here, I'm sitting, and then we're looking at all the students, and I'm like, Don, let's say, you know, like how did she create the wrist roll? You know, because I have questions as a student. Like I'm always asking questions to my elders, and he's like, I don't know. And then you know, he's like, I just had a flick in my wrist. So I'm like, you just had a flick in his wrist. He didn't create. So we're going, and now today we're gonna embody all of these things, right? So he's like, yeah, I was waiting for my brother to be on the rhythm, to find the beat, because I can't dance. I'm off beat, I have 2 left feet. So my brother taught me how to keep the beat in time, right? All of us have been calling it, you know, learn that it's space. It's not space. Keeping the beat. And it's basically snapping your finger. What do you do when you snap your finger? You have that looseness. What do you do? You know, so Don is learning from his brother, and you can do it. And what happens is like, you have to go in every time. You have to keep it loose. You know, we learn a lot. I learned that too. Like, trust me, like now my unlearning is on fleek, you know. Seriously. So just to go back to something simple, you know, that's the intention. Like you're dancing. dancing. In the club, people were doing this. You know, people that knew how to keep the rhythm. This is in your singers. It's not unusual. I mean, you know,
Hey.
he's with Frank Sinatra. Like, you know, like this, like you understand. Everybody's doing that. All like, you know, the black singers, the black guys, they're doing all of these things. It's part of the culture. This is the thing. So no matter what Don could not dance, he's still part of this culture. And the ham bone is just something innate in him, right? So the connection, like his pathways, was the ham bone. But that's why we have 7, more than 7. Like there's not just the lockers, there's other Campbell. They were called the Campbell lock dancers first, right? So now I'm going back to the record. But the thing is, they're different because they all have the same like moves. Like everybody points, not point to somebody. Everybody, but Greg was big, you know. Like Fluky was like bouncy and funky, you know. Like let's say, and also like bouncy and cheerleader, you know. So he has big things, but everybody's trying to emulate Don. But the way that they can do it is just like breaking it and like dissecting it in a way that, you know, their bodies, you know, they're doing it. So when you saw Greg, his wrist would go boom, like almost go in the back, right? But it's the looseness that Don had that they're trying to emulate, right? So everything they did was like trying to figure out Don. So you have to go back and go, okay, these guys being themselves, be yourself. If Don said to them, no, don't do it like me, you know, like he didn't like it at first, but he could have said, don't do it. There would be nobody else. They probably would have died. So he wanted people to learn it because his mother said, no, it's actually like, you know, like it's you should take it like as a gift that they want to learn your thing. Because at first he's resisting, like everybody's doing my moves on TV. So going back to Soul Train, you can imagine this is what's happening. You know, like Don is in the club now, and then he's getting more than 5 moves. He's starting to build. So he's going to people, you know, he's dancing, same 5 moves. First week, second week, every time, you know, people are like, you know, like Don is like, yeah, like let's say he's Don. Let's say he's Don. You ask me for it. I'm like, yeah, no, you did good. Yeah. Go ahead, bro. And see how, like, it's like, go ahead. Then after 5 weeks, you see your friend do the same 5 moves. Maybe you're not gonna give it to him. So because like he comes and he wants it. And what does he do? He goes, give myself 5. I'll give myself 5 because I think I did good. Like, you know, like because you're not gonna give it to me. And this is the thing. If you reach your right hand, like so, we learned it like this: retro hand across the body. You know, Greg was breaking it down, right? Because he's trying to teach, dissect it. But Don was just like naturally.
Yes.
So in the song that you heard yesterday, amazing by the way, Dennis,
Yes.
remix the Campbell Lock. All of us had a moment of
I know.
what is happening? I was confused. I was like, wait, I know this. Wait, what is this song? Like because it was I've never heard a remix of this song ever. It's Don's voice on the song. But it's that thing where you're looking at it going like, this man is starting this trendy pop culture thing where all the kids that are around him is like infectious, right? In the club, everybody starts to learn it. Scooby's like, I had to learn it, you know, because Scooby also could not dance at the time. So there's like 2 weird guys, you know, but Don is like, yeah, I don't want him to get too close to me. Like, you know, like there's like this competitiveness between dancers. And so eventually, Don gets recruited, like, because there's like, Deborah Brown was like, you know, that's her name, right? She's like, recruited, and she goes to the club, and she's like, yeah, you should come on Soul Train, right? You should come on Soul Train, like they picked certain dancers, like Don and Demina went together. And the thing is, on Soul Train, you gotta understand, you have Don, you know, doing his thing, and especially like I want you to go back and look at Demita and Don contest when he won, right? They won the contest, and then Demita's like, you know, they get interviewed by Don Cornelius. You know who Don Cornelius is, right? The Soul Train creator, like the host, TV producer. He, you know, he's asking the question like, what dance are you doing? You've seen that. And then Demeter's like, yeah, I was doing the rubber band. That. And then Dawn like goes, and the Camelot. Like interjects, Camelot, you know. And then, you know, yeah, the Camelot. And she says the Camelot, you know, but it's funny. So a lot of people called it the Camelot for a long time because they just distorted the words. But then they go and they do their thing, right? And then Demeter's like, you know, like doing the rock steady and slapping the floor. Probably that's the rubber band. I don't know, like it's up or down. I don't know if that is, I should ask her. But Dawn is fully like, you see, like, you see it. He's like doing this now. He's like he's doing this. But his feet are always like this.
Yeah.
So when he has to go down the Soul Train line, and let's say this is the Soul Train line, I'm the girl dancer, I'm going towards the camera, I'm like, I can dance and I'm two-stepping it, you know, like with my partner. But Don, what does he do? Because he can't two-step that way. And he's already fully in it. He's like, now I'm performing. So what is he? Well, I don't want you to go full out, but let's say I'm dancing and Don's coming behind me and he has to go toward the camera. So you fly.
Well, I'm not gonna use it.
Yeah. So Don is actually going, you know.
Totally.
Like to get closer, but then what happens is it's getting so popular, all the other dancers start to copy him. So now Don Cornelius is mad because he doesn't like camelocking. He hates it because it's changing his TV show. All dancers now are starting because they want to do it. So you see when you see like Soul Train, the old footage, you see a lot of really bad camelocking. It's like everybody thinks they can do it. It's weird, right? But that's what it is. They want to do this new thing. They're kids. It's the new thing. Like when I learned party dance, I'm like New Jack Swing music. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So we all kind of like gravitate toward that new thing. So Dawn was just changing the culture on Soul Train. So there was a pushback a little bit from Dawn Cornelius, like, I don't like it. Like, I want people to just do this. I want the girls to, I don't want the girls to, right? Actually, it wasn't that, like that was not there yet. But it's really what it is. It's like, so there was a little bit of friction, plus they weren't getting paid. Everybody knows the story. They got, you know, fried chicken and orange soda. Yeah, they got a can of soda and they weren't getting paid. Demeter Jo was underage, she was 16, you know. A lot of kids were in the show and the parents didn't know where they were. So those stories, you gotta ask Demeter, you gotta reach out to Demeter to ask her story. Then Demeter will tell her story. But let's say, so now Dawn is changing the landscape of the culture and the dance and Soul Train. I'm watching from TV in Montreal way later, but like Dawn was not there anymore when I'm watching. When now I'm watching all the old footage, I'm like, you know, I can see it, right? And the thing is that Dawn was so good and so powerful that, you know, he got pushed out. You know, eventually, like Dawn Cornelius was like, because when Dawn asked to get paid, because Tony Basil came in, he's like, oh, how much are you making to do this, you know? And he's like, nothing. So now she's like, well, you should get paid for this time on TV because she's in the industry. So now he goes back to Dawn Cornelius, asks to get paid. And Dawn Cornelius is like, nope, you know? And this is like, you know, the industry, of course, is like, there was a bit of friction between the two because he's taking too much space. Everybody is like, Dawn. So to make a long story short, Dawn's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing. You know, I'm gonna, you know, so he created, in the meantime, he created this song called The Camelot, the one that you heard yesterday. Do you know the original? You've heard the original? So that song, sit down. Relax. So that song, you know, when you look at the record, if those of you, I bought the record recently, I found the copy.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I found a copy. I think Dennis has a copy. I have a copy. Julian has a copy in Vancouver. Kai Star has copies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has two. And the thing is that when you look at the record, it stands on the record, it says Don Campbell Lock. It says Don Soul Train Campbell. So it's crazy, that's the middle name, right? Like it's like, so Don Soul Train Campbell. So he gets this record, he has the music sheet, they wrote the music, that guy wrote the music. And Don is literally singing, like, because of his influence, like you can hear the influence in his voice. He makes this record at 72, right? So Don created the dance in 70, like started creating it. He's been on Soul Train end of 71, right? 72. 72 he's on Soul Train. 72 he's making the record. The record comes out in 72. Then, the Lockers start in 73. So he's one year on Soul Train, a little over 1 year. So he's getting really famous, but now at the same time he has a group with that song touring, the Campbell Lock Dancers. That's the name of the group that he has. The first group going on tour with his song, because that's what happens. You go on tour, you made a song, you sing your song, you have your backup dancers, or your dancers, and you're all dancers. So he did that with other dancers. Some included, I think, there was like Shab's sister in this group. There's a few people in this group. Yeah. Fawn was there before Shab. There's a lot of dancers that he was touring with, like maybe 3 or 4. So you have to research that. And then all of a sudden, the Lockers not the Lockers, the Campbell Lock dancers get formed, because now Tony Basil comes in the picture, right? And that's a story Tony Basil could tell way better than me, so you should ask her if you ever meet her. But her importance is the same way as Demeter Joe's importance. There's a lot of these women who are very important because they make things happen, they name things, they help them see bigger, a bigger thing. So Tony Basil comes in, now he's been kicked out, so she's like, I'm gonna make a group. I'm gonna find 7 different Lockers, 7 different Campbell Lockers, 7 different people like Dawn, right? Well, different than Dawn, So she makes that group, that first group. And it's like, I remember that last time I talked to her, she was like, if I had to pick 7 dancers today, it would be completely different from the original 7 in the Campbell Lockers, the Lockers. Because it would be up to date, right? So you have the addition now. But these addition, like you say, Shad came in 73, he just moved from Chicago. Don, when he moved to LA, he was from St. Louis, Chicago, all these people are moving into Hollywood, because Hollywood is where the show is. Hollywood is where you might get famous. Hollywood is like New York, maybe you'll get famous, right? So Toni Basil's already in the industry because her father is a conductor, and her father, she was born in Vegas. She, was surrounded by a very, like a creative and artistic family that are in the business. So Don has now Tony to help him make these connections and bring them to TV shows. So they do many TV shows because Tony is like talking. She's the network person. She's like, I have this great group. Like we're like, nah. And then she has a connection with what's his name? The first tour.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra. They go on a Roberta Flack TV special. They go on Carol Burnett TV. But as a main act, right? They're the main act. There's no backup dancers. They are the act, right? Because like Toni Basil saw a vision, like I'm gonna make them known, right? But at the same time, they're on TV. The record label is like, they're using the Campbell Lock name, dancers. They're introducing, like you see Campbell Lock dancer, Carol Burnett, you see it when she says, like she introduces them and she introduces them as the Campbell Lock dancers, right, at the beginning. And then you see the shift. Then they get the call. You can't, or the letter, can't use that name anymore. We own it because you signed a deal with this record and it's called the Campbell Lock and you can't use your name. So Dawn now has to drop, either has to fight in court or go on tour with Frank Sinatra. It was like a big, big tour. I think it's Frank Sinatra, right? That he was supposed to. So if he stays back and fight for his name, he can't go on. He stops the whole tour for the whole crew. Like all of them are supposed to go on tour. So, and he doesn't have that kind of money to fight the justice system. And this is expensive. When you're in LA, you know these contracts, you'll lose, and you'll spend money with a lawyer that you don't have already. It's black culture. We don't have that kind of money, right? So what happens is they make a decision. Whoever made the decision, we don't know how it happened, but they dropped Campbell and they call themselves the Lockers, right? And so that's the story that we know it as the Lockers, but the original name of the dance is the Campbell Lock, is the Campbell Lock dancers. So always going back to the source was erased because of the industry and, you know, like the time and like just bad, you know, like we never looked at the contracts we signed as street dancers, even like some of us, like you're like, wow, you just signed your whole life and you don't know that. So I'm gonna end this story with this, unless you have a little, like some thoughts, is that at the end of his life, you know, after he passed, you know, I was talking a lot with his wife and his son, and we're very close because I was very close to, we were all close to Don, right? And his wife said, you know, like his biggest regret was to lose his name to the dance. But the whole time we're with him, he's like, yeah, Campbell Locking, same thing. Meanwhile, people are making documentaries about these different names with his dance, and I'm not gonna name names or documentaries, but it was like he was just accepting. He was coming to terms. He was always coming to terms with locking. It's called locking. Like he didn't say it was different. He says no, it's the same thing. It's Campbell Locking. So it's to understand that, you know, after. It's when I really found out the truth. After he passed, like his family was, like Hillary said, Don was really depressed. Like he was really sad that he lost his name to the dance, right? So I'm like, shit, you know, and I know he felt the same way. We're like that's why you saw everything that happened, you know. We're like, ah, you know, Avengers assemble. We really did that, right? We were just like, we gotta protect Don because we were seeing it, and the more I was seeing, the more I was like, man, when he was alive, if he didn't mention it, it's just because he's hurting so much. He's not trying to live his trauma. But when Dennis said he went into a huge depression, like his whole life, and Dennis is fighting everyone. It's hard to deal with Dennis because he's seeing his father at home after, you know, when you see the person at home that's not the person that Don was smiling every day, looking at the kids, like telling stories. I just love, do whatever you want. Like I just want you guys to share. He's like, he wasn't like telling us to not do or not be creative or do it a certain way. He was like, just be free. And I think that that's what we lost, you know, over time, because instead of listening, really not listening, but understanding what he was saying, we were just like kind of listening. Okay, that story again. Okay, we heard it like this the 20th time I hear that story, right? It really is. You said it every camp, same story, but sometimes you'll have you said something different, right? But then when he goes home, he's hurt, right? So we don't know what happens to somebody like him, that everybody took his dance, changed the form, because they did themselves. It's not their fault. Like they're like, well, this is what I want. I want you to do a muscle man. But it's like not a muscle man. He was like a muscle man. He was like, I want you to be big, because I learned from Greg too. Like a muscle man. Like not do the muscle man, but the loss in translation, meaning the kids, the Japanese and the Taiwanese that were in the camp, they don't speak English. You just see Greg, rah, 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 muscle men, you know? And then they had their recording. They go back home and they're like, muscle men. And then they're like pace. Because Greg was saying it's like a pacemaker, the heartbeat. It's like pacemaker. So, but everybody's not this like consciously distorting Dom's dance, but it's like a telephone game. So then it became this, you know, like everybody's telling, you have to have have a hard fist and you have to have power so all these stories like from different teachers that never really like sat down long enough with Don, you know, because they're competitive, they're 20-year-old, they're all battling, like they're all like want to be better than each other. So they're all teaching their way, their style, their understanding to their student. And some people were like very, they didn't have a home like Greg, so he would travel around the world to share that his way because he just wants to share it. That's who he is. Right? But Don is very comfortable at home with his family. He's good. Why am I going to go sleep on somebody's couch? I have my couch at home. Like, I have my family. We have kids. A lot of the other dancers, or they didn't have, you know, the stability of the family that Don is. And we know because we've been around Don's family or his wife. Like, he loves his grandkids. He loves that. He was just happy being home. So if somebody asked him to go out, sometimes I'd be like, Don, they want you to go in India. No, I'm not going to India. I don't trust people there. You know, like, because he doesn't know anybody. He wants to go with his friends. So that's why I was touring with him, because he didn't, like, I could help him, you know, help them teach the handshake, you know, and he would just be smiling at the, like, seeing people, the joy of people's face when they do the handshake. He wasn't like trying to teach all of these things. And even my first class, my first very camera locking class with Don, it was, you know, very like, you just gotta lock. And then we're like, point to the mirror, walk to the mirror, turn, you know, like it was all the things that he created. And I remember we're all in the class going like, it's too simple. Right? We're like thinking, but we know this already. We think we know it. And he's teaching it to us. And we think we know it because now we've seen everybody do the rendition of like all of the stuff and the jump and the backflips and like it's 2004. We've seen, you know, the Greg's version, the Shabadoo's version. We saw all of it. And we're like, this class is super basic, right? But me, I love Don. It's my first class. Like, I go and I want to learn, but I still don't get it because I already know how to point. I already know how to do this, but I don't understand. I don't have the awareness. So luckily for me, you know, like when we never had the battle, I was able to, and this was really important for my growth as a student, is that when the battle did not happen at B-Boy Summit, like we were following Don everywhere. People got kicked out of MacArthur Park. We all got kicked out, you know, because the battle, the cops always shut down stuff in LA. So, and I'm sitting there waiting for my ride, and Don is waiting for his ride. And we're stuck an hour. We're by ourselves in the park, and Don tells me his story, right? For an hour before his wife. So I'm like there hearing the story. But still, even though I hear the story, like it's only when I was 50 that I got it. That ham bone part and this part, like when I pulled it all back together to understand everything that people name. I was like, it's called toe locking, it's called this locking, it's called hammers. Don was like, I didn't name that. There was no name. There was no name for wrist roll. He just did it because he said, going back, I had a flick in my wrist. So that's just natural progression, you know? He's going here, and then he throws something, goes on the floor, slap, puts his hat back, bang, you can already see it, bang. He's like, everything is here in the wrist, right? So it was never, he's not naming, he's doing. Everybody else that wants to learn, so the kids, who's the kid? It's Scooby, even though they're like very close in age. Shabadoo comes last, because he's the kid that has to learn it in 3 months before they go on tour with the lockers or camel lock dancers. And he's like, well, he's not even asking Don, he's asking Scooby how to do that wrist roll thing. So that's other people naming it. He's like, because it looks like a wrist roll. So how do you do that point, you know, like that, this, you know? So they started like adding names to Don dance that he never added. And he's like, he's just pointing at people. Don is not saying, I'm pointing at you. He's not saying that. He's just doing it because that's his, you know, like that's his way of his body. That's his essence. That's how he works his dance. So when you dance, like my epiphany was with this guy, come, like when I saw the footage, come. Also, not epiphany, like that was recent because of this footage that you guys made, right? He comes, and they post the footage because I met him at B-Boy Summit 1999. You know, we're like the lone like Campbell Lock dancers in a B-Boy battle, and we're trying to find a corner with the funk music. So, but this guy, I don't know this at the time. You know, that's like many years ago. But you're already doing it, right? Like
I probably didn't know I was
he
doing that.
didn't know he was doing it because why? Because he didn't take class.
I never took class.
He never took class, so he was pure, right? All of us are in the class like, well, not me yet. In '99, I didn't take class either. So my locking was really bad. So when I look at the footage, I'm like, ooh, I cringe. But it's okay, growth. So, but you saw it last night. There's a reason why he went to the end, right? It's because when I look at Campbell Locking with my new eyes, there's a lot of things that he was doing that reminds me of Dawn, you know, in the gesture, you know. So show, just a little quick.
Is it?
Just.
I guess.
Even like here. Yeah. He does that sound. And when you go down, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it? And then he's in his body. So I was like, oh my God, this guy was doing it. You know, like, and I remember, like, he told me that I went to see him. I remember I went to see him, and he reminded me. I was like, you're a locker. At the time we were saying locker. You're a locker. Like, we recognize each other because there's not many of us, right? So, but it's only 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, when he posted this footage, and then I saw it with my new eyes, I was like, what? And I wrote like, you know, you don't know, you know. I put the little like writing like you don't know but I know type of thing. Like you say it all the time, you know. And I just had oh my God, this guy was doing it this whole time, you know. And then I went back. One of my mentors after Dawn was also E.B. Skeet, because I met E.B. Skeet in '99. So E.B. Skeet is like rest in peace too. He's a popper from the Electric Boogaloo's, and he loved Campbell Locking, and he was also training under Greg. But when that same night, that kid, actually it's a funny story, the same night the kid asked me, you know, about why connected, why do I need to go in, and like why? And I go back home, and then Momo from Japan posts all this footage, you know, because Momo always puts a lot of footage, and he puts a footage of E.B. Skeet, and all of a sudden, and he's my mentor. And he taught me a lot about Campbell Locking, right? But I see this. I'm like, but then I'm like, this is my teacher. How did I not get it then? But he's in his body. You remember how he dances? Like, he's like here. It's like all around his body. So I was like, damn. Like, I just did not have the awareness. Like, kid, you don't have the awareness. So now I'm like, every time I see somebody that has it, I'm like, and they don't know that they have it because he did it instinctively. He did it instinctively. He did it instinctively because when he's dancing, that's why like some of the people that were closer to Don loved them, is because they reminded him of him when he was young. So when Firelock was dancing, he was doing Don but his way, right? Like he got the inspiration, but he didn't like become Don. He was Firelock. Omar was Firelock. And then that's why he can do this, right? Because it's in him too. Well, you can do it, but you do it well. I can't do it. But the fact I could see in his body too. So for us, it was like, wow. We didn't understand what made a good Campbell Locker. At the time, we were saying locker. But we didn't understand that, you know, there was an aesthetic, and that we thought we were all like always looking for the grail of the aesthetic, like the positioning, you know. The aesthetic was in these connections that dancers, like, they put that, like, that I can't, now I have to relearn everything, like unlearn everything that I've learned. So this is why there's a transitioning period for you guys to understand that, okay, like you have to undo the class. You have to undo this. That's Scooby. It's good to do. When Scooby's judging you, please do it. I mean, you know, he wants to see himself. Like, it's important, like, understand where he dancing from, right? But for yourself and your sake and your dance, try to understand what Don did, how he did it, how he made these connections. You know, like, even that, Don did not want to do this. And that's why Don always had the solo. What he was doing the shimmy, he was hopping, he was doing this. And then we all think he's kissing people, but no, he's hand boning off his mouth, you know? Like, that's what he's doing. He's not blowing kisses, right? So to understand that is to understand that the hand bone was part of him, right? Hand bone did not create Campbellock, the Campbellock. Like, that is his creation. That's very unique. Like, but the hand bone is in his body the same way social dance is in my body. As growing up, I'm doing this with my parents, so I can't take that out. But as I learned the Campbellock or the walking at the time, I was learning to remove who I was. So I was learning. So I can do this. I can dance like I can do all of it. But then I look at myself, I'm like, I look like Scooby. Because I was in Scooby's class for too long. You know, because I'm like trying to learn Scooby, I'm trying to learn Greg, and I'm trying to learn Shab, and I'm all in all the classes trying to understand, because I'm looking for the grail. I'm looking for the grail that I'm never going to find because it was over there.
Yeah.
Whoever read The Alchemist, you'll understand, right? So going back to Don is the only way to get better. And this is like I just had, I had a talk with Hurricane, and he says, how do you keep getting better? As me as Tash, and the same way with them. How come you get better with age? I'm like, because I love to dance, and I keep being a student. I keep going back to the drawing board and go, I have to start over. Like, start again, not over, start again. Like with all my new knowledge. So today, when we're dancing, I want you to really be conscious of who you are first. So if you're from the Philippines, if you're from, and this is the thing, if you're from China, Taiwan, if you're like, wherever you're from, it can be anywhere. If you forget that part of you, you know, then you erase yourself out of it. Don wanted us to add to that. So reason why sometimes we would judge it, Don would judge like HHI, and then, you know, let's say, it would be like Tiffany, or it'd be, I remember Aya from Japan, and then Aya would start whacking. Remember? And it's like, she wins. She gets the word. And everybody's like, all of us is like, she was whacking and locking and mixing it all up. But he was like, no, she's unique. But we didn't understand. We're like, but she's not. You know, like what we know, what we think we know. He's looking at who's the most creative with his dance. Who's bringing, so last night, what I was seeing, all of you are amazing, by the way, is that I didn't see one person the same, and I think that you're already like amazing, but now with this new understanding of what the Campbellock is, and also like what Don is, and looking back at Don, and all of his embodiment throughout his life, every time he danced, you cannot unsee it now. You'll see the hand bone everywhere, no matter. So even in a handshake, people like, this is not it's all part of it. So you have to understand that this is like such a big thing that we turn into these positions that are not necessary. I mean, it's good for choreo and, you know, like, student, you want to win HHI? It's going to be like, you know, but you're not an individual. Now you're just a group doing the same synchronized, you know, like movement. It's cheerleading, you know. So, but it's good because we need all of it to understand. But we need you to be yourselves with the dance, right? So I can like say, you know, like like yesterday I went to him, I said, hi, are you from the IT lockers? Because they have a very, very special signature. They have a signature that's different than everyone else, right? And I recognize it because they're different than all of the rest of China, right? So I was like, but he's like not in them. He's like, no, I'm with this group. And I'm like, but Taiwan has a signature, right? And I love that because it's different. Not everybody should be like them. But sometimes, like the Go-Go Brothers, everybody starts dancing like the Go-Go Brothers. I'm like, why? Why? They're them because they can do, they're Tony Gogo's sons. Yeah. They have the genetics first. Then, they have the dance, but then they also pop, they also play, they're musician, and they do fusion, like they do the jazz steps and the tap. So they started adding things and they did the leg thing, and I'm like, but the leg thing is not a locking thing, but everybody's doing the Campbell lock and do the leg thing, and I'm like, why? That's them, don't be them. It's not like this, like, do what Don did with your thing. What is your thing? You're from New Orleans. I see it when you dance, I'm like it's in his blood. I want to see more of it, right? With what Don created. Today, like that's the test. It's to add Don to you. Don't erase you. Like everything I'm gonna give you is gonna be really, really simple. There's no it's not like a class in front of the mirror. It's just exchanging, dancing, going through, okay, how is this, remove this. This is not necessary right now. Now we're going back, right? Just feel the music, and the music is the most important thing. So for my class, I will always play with music and how you hear the music. Last night, I didn't really talk to you guys, but I was like, for me, the music is what, if you do what the music says, then I'm like, it's more than just the movement. It's like, are you having a conversation also with the music? Are you having a conversation with all of us? Because Campbell locking, the Campbell lock, it's not just you and this as a battle or as an exchange. It's also the crowd, like when you guys turned around, I was like, I feel Don. I feel the spirit. Don was always looking at all of us, and he was just like, oh, he's looking at me, right? So you have to, the mirror is very bad for the dance. Why? Because it doesn't give you the intention that you need when you dance. Like, that's how they built it, is in a community, facing each other, going to each other. So when they're training, or they're even in the club in those days, and I know, like we had this discussion, the clubs don't exist like that for this new generation, but you just gotta understand the intention that they had, that when they're like looking at people, it's like, but then I'm on my way to do something else. Let's say you do the handshake. That was an example of the same thing that we'll do later. It's like, it's an acknowledgement, right? It's Don coming in, and that's like, because the music is too loud. And you see, there's things that you need to understand. So yes. But like this part, there's more to it. But it's here, right? So, but the fact that he's coming, he calls. This is not like we're talking to each other, right? Sometimes they're talking to the crowd and doing it, right? But the thing is, at the end, when they bow, it's always like, I'm going back to where I was. I was over there. I learned that later that, there's things that we're missing because we're just looking at it as performance. Like at the lockers, they did that, and that was the end. But then when you dance, you finish just like, you're in the club, keep going, right? So always think with the mentality of intentional. You point when it, not all the time, when you talk to somebody, right? You don't just start. This is okay if you want to be creative. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, think of, there's a reason for the point. This is just following the rhythm of the music, and there's a progression to how you do it. Try to remember, and I will play music and we'll just do all that. Okay? Yeah.